Level 90, uncouth customers. Brookie Voo has an urgent job for a courageous soul. I was wondering when you'd be along, not a moment too soon either. I've got an urgent job that needs doing and there's no one else I'd entrust with it. Of course you'll be wanting to know the details. A long story, so why don't you grab a seat over there and I'll join you shortly. Now that we're all settled, allow me to introduce myself properly. I'm Brookie Voo, proprietor of Balyav Thai. Can't pronounce any of this stuff. As you know, my establishment is open to anyone. People hailing from across Tyrol and sometimes further come here to whet their appetite and slake their thirst. Given how we turn no one away, it's inevitable that a few bad apples might mix into my motley patrons, and therein lies the rub. A particularly rotten bunch was here not long ago. Sitting just over there, in fact, and having a conversation most foul. I thank you all for coming here so far from your respective homes. This is the first time we have all gathered in one place. Perhaps formal introductions are in order. I am. Welcome, welcome. What'll you be having? Could we have a moment, please? We are in the middle of something very important. Now then, where was I? Ah, yes, I am Apyahi, and if you are sitting here now, it is because I have personally invited you to the Passage of the Unbound, my secretive villainous order with ambitions to sow discord throughout the world. Villains do not often call themselves such. Nor do secret orders have their meetings in places where all eyes can see. What do you know? Your snide remarks only ruin my carefully constructed atmosphere. If I had time to think of a suitable slogan, you would understand that words are everything. But I digress. I invited you all here for one reason, to throw the world into a mire of chaos and then watch its nations crumble. What else would we call ourselves if not villainous? My only interest is to punish all who've dared to mock and belittle me. So long as I can achieve that, you can call me whatever you like. The rich, the powerful, the mighty, all shall be crushed under the weight of my ire. Grand design for a group of 6. Even if we manage to muster others to our side, there's a limit to what we can accomplish. I regret to say you are right. At present, we are bound and powerless. That is why, in order to raise our fist against our oppressors, we must find the strength to shatter our shackles. And in so doing, we shall become unbound. Like the birds soaring up above, we shall take flight and spread our wicked wings, staining the azure skies black. But sometimes skies become treacherous with clouds, and even birds must rest. Speak of finding strength, is that why we are here? To look for it? So then I pledge my aid. With newfound might at my beck and call, I shall win adoration known only by a hero. Your eagerness is heartening, and you are correct. The tools to make our goal a reality lay at Tyrol. Across this continent can be found certain artifacts which possess untold power. Did you say artifacts? Oh, I sense an adventurous hunt for instruments of devious devilry ahead. My imagination is overflowing with images of the new forms my trickery might take. I dare say the world is not ready. Yes, well, to get to the heart of the matter, the objects are held by the disparate tribes which make their home in the Tyrol continent, where they have been passed down through generations as sacred treasures. Whatever stories these people have attached to their so-called treasures matters not. Each contain the essence of fearsome beast called Tyrol Vidral, and with them in our possession, none shall be able to stand against us. We shall take the objects for ourselves, bring them across the sea, and use them to undermine nations far and wide. That means by which you each choose to do so, I leave in your hands. I only ask that you do not disappoint. I take it there are no questions? Let the passage of the unbound open unto the world. We begin at once. They didn't order anything. They didn't order a single thing, yeah. That's very villainous. That's the long and short of it. What do you think? They might lack discretion, but they seem formidable nonetheless. They left without ordering anything. Villainous indeed. Right there in their name. They're unbound by manners and respect and won't be welcome back here anytime soon. You, on the other hand, can stay as long as you like. Of course, we had a duty to report what we heard to the land's guard. We did, but it didn't make a damn difference because soon we learned those unwelcome guests had teeth. Not long ago, one individual from a remote tribe came here seeking help recovering a stolen relic, then another came with the same story, then another, and so on. By the time we realized the passage of the Unbound was a real threat, they had one and all made their way across the sea with their ill-gotten gains. Each tribe has sent one of their own to recover what was lost, but being in strange lands, they're at a disadvantage. That's why I've been looking for someone who knows every corner of Eorzea and beyond. Now, I know you've business in Tyrol, or else you wouldn't be here in the first place, but if you could take the time to hear Raul Majun out, you'll be doing a service to many who could really use a helping hand. Greetings. Allow me to thank you personally for lending your assistance in this matter. We've been quite desperate for someone suitable. Greetings, Raul Majun. At the risk of becoming a daily nuisance, I must ask, have there been any developments you might share? Nuisance? Why, perish the thought. You've come just in time. In fact, none other than the vaunted Zilly has agreed to aid to the search. Finally, a fortunate turn. So long as our sacred treasures are in wicked hands, our homes shall know no peace. Say nothing of the danger they pose to other nations. If these thieves really do intend to stir up chaos across the seas, then you had better depart on the next ship. Before you do, it might be proper to introduce you to those who have come to Tuliolol in search of aid. Lozanique, there comes from a village far to the north. A single warrior cannot hope to withstand the power of her tribe's relic, so she requires a stout protector, someone that can be leaned upon when times are darkest. The heirloom that Nyapine must recover afflicts terrible maladies upon its victims. He seeks someone who commands great healing magics to counteract this effect. Search for Shashepia's tribal treasure has been entrusted to a peerless hunter. She requires someone to act as a frontline fighter who can distract her target while her bow takes deadly aim. And lastly, there is Suhe, who knows little about her people's ancient artifact, decided it must not fall into the wrong hands. She seeks a mage of great power, but anything beyond that lies shrouded in mystery. Are you forgetting someone, Rahul Jha? Your crisis is just as pressing, even if you won't say so yourself. Oloja hails from further south than even Mamuk. He has traveled many days and nights in search of someone who can strike down their prey from afar. It's the only way to escape the effect of his village's treasure. Did I get that right? Indeed, indeed. I do get so forgetful in my old age. Thank you, Raul Majum. 5 tribes, 5 stolen treasures. All are waiting for the aid of a brave soul. Hopefully that can be you, Zilly. Of course, I'll share all that I know on the matter. You only need to ask. And know that I will not hold it against you should you choose to assist only those for whom your talents are best suited. So long as you do what you can, the people of Tyrol maybe even further will be in your debt. Level 90, uncouth customer. Complete. You've gained access to the role quest for Dawntrail. A separate quest line and story is now available for tank, melee DPS, physical range DPS, magical range DPS, and healer roles. Speak with the people of Tyrol gathered in Jabal Yav Tide and assist them with recovering their stolen treasures. Get started. Level 90, the narwhal beckons. The young woman gazes into the horizon with a troubled expression. Oh, hello. Judging by your attire, you must be the traveler from across the seas, and I suppose Brukivu has enlisted you to our aid. That you were guided here safely must be the work of the brave narwhal, who remains watchful even in this dire time. We are ever grateful for its vigilance. My name is Lozanique, and I hail from the northern reaches of Zaktaral, where even our breath freezes when caught in the chilling wind. Our people revere a Tyrol Vidral of the Narwhal, whose essence rests in the cradle of the sleepless, our most sacred treasure. Though fathomless depths it swarm without rest, protecting its home from any who would do it harm. Legends tell that the Narwhal could place the burden of its fatigue upon another, and thus was able to maintain its vigil night and day. So too can any who possess the cradle lull a person, willing or no, into a deep slumber, all while avoiding the need for sleep themselves. Needless to say, such power could cause untold harm in the wrong hands. Thus was the greatest warrior of our village, Tintoawa, tasked with crossing the ocean and returning that which is most sacred to us. I'd have joined him, but I feared I would only be a burden, so I remained here that I might find someone to send to his aid. Tintoawa has ever rushed bravely and blindly into the thick of things, leaving me behind to watch and worry. If there's anything I can do to help him, even a little, then I must. Brukivu has done well to send you to me. I can tell you are just the woman to temper his more reckless tendencies and keep him safe during his quest. Look, but have it, a letter from Tintoawa arrived shortly before you did. It seems he's discovered that the thief made their way to a place called Ishgard. While I don't doubt his prowess, even Tintoawa would be rendered helpless before the Narwhal's lullaby. Please, could you follow him to Ishgard and find him before he does anything rash? Ishgard is like a second home to me. Won't let your treasure be misused. Thank you. I knew the Narwhal would guide a brave protector to our side. Tintoawa sails to an unfamiliar place, but despite his hasty nature, he'd doubtless spend time gathering information about his new surroundings before planning his next step. Ishgard has a place like this one, where people gather to drink and talk. You might go there first. Ask for a swordsman with blue hair and attire like mine, and I'm sure it won't be long until you find him. Ishgard. Got tonight. It isn't Zilly. What will it be? Lad from the Western Continent. Well, I can't be going around gossiping about the comings and goings of my customers, now can I? That's a quick way to empty an empty tavern. I suppose since you're you, I can make an exception just this once. Lad, much like the one you described walked through my door not long ago, was asking anyone whose ear could bend about some stolen narwhal or some such he was after. Usually you buy someone a drink before interrogating them, but not him. Nobody knew what he was going on about, but he was determined. Asked where else in Ishgard people might gather to flap their lips. Told him to head to the Jeweled Crozier. If you leave now, I reckon he'll still be there. You know him when you see him, trust me. Bunch of useless by the narwhal's horn. You'd think manners keep people warm for how desperately these people cling to them, and here I am trying to rid their city of a thief. Yes, it seems you know me, but I don't think I've ever seen you before. I'd remember. Those Iniques sent you. Even across oceans, she can sense when I'm in trouble. Well, I won't deny a helping hand, especially one with her blessing. I'm having no luck getting information from these people. Seems there are unwritten rules regarding favors that no one's bothered to tell me. I know the thief traveled here, but that's where the trail runs cold. I thought it'd only be a matter of time until they used the cradle to commit some misdeed or another, but it seems nothing is amiss within or without Ishgard's walls. I have only a description to go on, although it's availed me nothing so far. Woman of a race known in this land as Elizin, she has striking red hair and eyes the color of rust. A scar dominates her forehead and a mole rests upon her lips. Came to my village posing as a scholar with an interest in the cradles. Although she gave us a name, I know now it was a lie, just like everything else that spewed from her mouth. Bounty of meat, vegetables, and fruit she offered was worth its weight in gold to us. After the cold snap we suffered last year, we couldn't afford to turn her away. Looking back, I realized how brazen her deception was. Although she wore the robes of a scholar, she moved with the poise of a predator. I marked her as a fearsome warrior the moment I laid eyes upon her. Of course, she wouldn't have been able to travel so far north on her own if she was unseasoned, so I thought nothing of it at the time. It was my first misstep of many. That's all I know. It's not much, but if you see even the smallest scrap of a clue in there, it'd be damn sight better than what I currently have. Few scholars study in Ishgard without passing through the Astrologicum. If she feels even an ounce of guilt, she would seek penance at St. Raymonald's Cathedral. Skilled sword would be known among the knights of the congregation. I wasn't paying that much attention. I see your point, but her guise as a scholar was only meant to win our trust. I doubt she's a woman of learning. Knights, was it? I suppose that's what you call these deadly-looking fellows clad in steel. Yeah, she may be onto something there, but where would we find one willing to speak? I know of you. At their barracks, near the tavern? I know the way. I'll meet you there. Thermal bird. My Mistress Lazalthi would bring you to the congregation. This Passage of the Unbound is not a name I have heard before, but if one of their number has brought an artifact of great power to Ishgard, we would be ill-advised to suffer their presence. Shall act on this information at once. If there is aught that would threaten the peace, then it is our duty to root it out. Consider the knights of the congregation at your disposal. Thank you for hearing us out. Truly, now does anyone about the description we shared ring a bell? Manelasan woman with red hair and eyes the color of rust. Wait, you said she bore a scar on her forehead, yes? And a mole? No, it could not be. You know who she is? Aye, well, such information is usually privileged only to those within our order. Pray understand my hesitation. What, weren't you listening to anything we told you? She's too dangerous to be left alone. This isn't the time for secrecy. I know I'm a stranger in your city, but I can't stand by while innocent lives might be at risk. Can't trust Tento Awa, then trust me. He's right, the danger justifies bending the rules a little. Trust me. Save the world and your city. You're right, of course. If the hero ended the Dragon Song War is not worthy of our trust, then who is? Very well. Master Tento Awa, pray accept my apologies. Although you may not be Ishgardian, your desire to keep its people safe is plain to see. We shall place our trust in you as Mistress Azathia. I'm glad we can see eye to eye. Now then, what do you know of this thief? Description called back some old memories. Memories of a knight named Leofine. Merely recalling her story makes me ill at ease, for the mark she left upon our honorable order was black as pitch. None know of her whereabouts since she was expelled from the congregation. I had thought living with the shame of her deeds would be punishment enough, but if she now consorts with villains that threaten the very foundation of order, then 'tis clear we can suffer her freedom no longer. I shall inform my superiors of this development and suggest that the congregation does all in its power to track down Leofine and place her in custody. If we learn aught of value, I promise to share it with you at once. Really, that's more than we could have asked. Suppose we ought to consider what to do in the meantime. Care to join me over there? We have a name, Leofine, a former knight of Ishgard. That means she knows how to hide herself in the city well. Grasping about straws won't get us anywhere. Unknown familiarity does little to help our chances. We may have no choice but to wait until the knights discover a lead. Nevertheless, I intend to spend every waking moment learning more about this city and its workings. As for you, only ask that you be ready to move at a moment's notice. Until then, be well. Level 90, the Narwhal beckons, complete. Level 92, Sleepless in Ishgard. Tento Awa is eyeing each passing Ishgardian with curiosity. There you are, Zilly. I've been walking Ishgard streets whenever I've been able, and I've taken to searching for any sleeping people. See, the land I'm from isn't much warmer than this, and people know not to tempt fate by dozing off in the open air. Even those blind with drink manage to find their way home somehow. I figure the only force powerful enough to overcome that instinct for self-preservation would be the cradle, so if we find a sleeper exposed to the elements, we may very well discover Leofine nearby. Can't imagine she brought it all this way just to remain idle. It's a tedious prospect, but we need to scour every back alley and shadowed walkway before anyone catches something much worse than a cold. Mistress Lazathi, Master Tento Awa, I bring good tidings. Temple Knights wasted no time in distributing handbills across Ishgard containing Leofine's description. These efforts have already borne fruit, but we recently received a report of someone matching her features being sighted. Really? Where? She was sighted near Camp Dragonhead by a patrolling sentry. He described a woman with red hair and a distinct scar on her forehead. The outpost can be reached by passing through the Gates of Judgment and heading east. Once there, speak with Sir Eugenio for the full report. I knew she'd show herself. Let's hurry. I was informed you were on your way. This is concerning the report by one of our sentries. Yes, he cited a woman matching the description in the handbill sent by the congregation. She was heading south along the footpath, but that is all we know. Yes, this is Eugenio. What? Hold fast. I shall send aid at once. What happened? Shipment of supplies was waylaid by a monstrous beast. A contingent of temple knights should have been protecting it, but something is amiss. They need our help. We would be in your debt. The shipment was attacked on the road west of the observatorium. I shall muster more knights. Please go find my men before any lives are lost. They should be closed, right? Search the other side of the river. You search further down the road, and I'll keep your weapon at the ready. Wrong button. What the hell am I doing? You saved us. We were almost. Won't be feasting today. Not a moment too soon. Quiet eye watches eternal, and eternal is the sleep it bestows. We're too late. We failed. Didn't fail. Wait, there's a difference. No, they're not. Ah, just look, they're asleep is all. Good, good. The trusty chocobos suddenly became unsure on their feet, and the wagon toppled onto the side of the road. There was nothing for it but to fix the damage on the spot. Temple Knights went to secure the area, but before I knew it, each and every one of them had fallen asleep where they were standing. Then the beast attacked. It was just me before those snarling fangs. Time to wake up. Sleep here any longer and the cold will have you. Huh, what happened? We fell asleep, but we were patrolling. Must be mistaken. A temple knight would never shirk his duty so. You calling me a liar? I saw you fall over on your ass with my own eyes. Not for Sir Eugenio's quick response and the bravery of these warriors, we would would be food for the vultures by now. The congregation will hear of this dereliction of duty, you can be sure. Now hold on just a moment. They aren't the ones to blame. A sacred relic of my people was stolen, and... now isn't the time. Sorry, forget I said anything. Whatever dizziness overtook the chocobo seems to have passed, so I'll resume my journey once the carriage is repaired. Assuming my guards are quite refreshed, I believe we can make it on our own. Please return to Camp Dragonhead and warm yourselves. No coincidence that the giant birds and the two guards took leave of their senses around the same time. This is the work of the cradle. But even if Leofine was here, she's no longer. Let's return to the city and consider our next steps. Oh. All those fates up. Good Lord. Where were they all at whenever I was doing relics? Thermalbert. We have received the report of the incident near Camp Dragonhead. 2 of our own sleeping on duty by the Fury. Had you reached them even a moment later, this day would have been much darker. Although it pains me to say it, those 2 shall be punished as befits the magnitude of their negligence. If I may, I don't believe the blame rests entirely on their shoulders. The cradle of the sleepless was used against them, I'm certain. Yes, you said it possessed the power to lull others into a deep sleep. I admit that would explain these exceptional circumstances. Regardless, they were still bested by their enemy, and their charge was almost killed as a result. Punishment is the only recourse. I see a harsh stance, maybe, but I can respect that you don't treat your duty lightly. Well, if you learn anything else of Leofine's plots, please let us know at once. Even though we didn't find her, I'm glad we were able to save those soldiers. Thank you for coming to us. Hey, 'tis the Temple Knights who owe you a thanks. We shall continue our search, and rest assured you shall be the first to know of any development. Really, there's more I would tell you about the cradle, things I should have told you sooner. Join me over there and I'll do my best to fix that mistake. Now you've seen with your own eyes what I've only been able to describe. The Narwhal's lullaby can put even the hardened warriors into a restful slumber. It may as well be defenseless as a newborn babe, but even with such power, my people have never used it to attack our enemies. Its sole purpose has always been to keep a single person awake, an eternal guardian who would never sleep, never rest, the wide-eye, me. For 10 years I've been awake, training day and night to gain the strength I have now, the strength to shield my people. Of course, another must receive the weariness I cast aside, the shut-eye. You've met her, in fact, Lozanique. I've been awake these 10 years. She spent the better part of her days in a deep slumber. Her brief periods of wakefulness are spent exercising and eating so her body doesn't waste away. So we've barely spoken, despite how much I depend on her. When we were young, we'd spend our days exploring the mountain paths, but that time is long past. Telling you all this now, I realize how very little of my life has been dedicated to my own pursuits. Lozanique and I both devoted ourselves entirely to the protection of our village. That explains your skill. How did Leofine steal the artifact from such an accomplished warrior? Don't you miss Lozanique? Well, about that. No, I've no excuse. It was my fault it was stolen. I'll bear that burden. Protector must take responsibility for his charges. We don't have the luxury to dwell on regrets. I see now that although my people never used a cradle for ill, wicked hearts can twist anything toward evil. And that's something I can't tolerate. The very thought that this might happen again makes the bile churn in my gullet. We must bring Leofine's schemes to an end. Level 92, Sleepless in Isgard. Complete. Level 94, between sleep and death. Tintoawa has a worried expression on his face. Just the person I wanted to see. I'd like to ask your advice on a certain matter, if you don't mind. It's been a while since my last letter to Lozanique. I wanted to wait until I discovered something worth sharing to write her, but we're still completely in the dark. I don't want her to worry, but I don't know what to tell her. Tell her you're in good spirits, that will suffice. Whatever you write, don't make her wait too long. Good advice, as usual. I wish we had even a single thread to grasp, but an unexciting letter is better than none at all. Alright, I'll start right away. I may not have much time left. But don't misunderstand, it's nothing so grave as that. It's just, the last time I used the cradle was just before it was stolen. Luckily, I'm still as alert as I've ever been, but it won't be long until I must dream like any other. I will give Leofine free rein while I'm helpless in bed. There is no quarry more dangerous than one who doesn't sleep. We have to see this through before that happens. Mistress Lazothe, Master Tintoawa, we have received reports that several groups of Temple Knights have fallen afoul of what can only be your stolen artifact. Several, let me guess. They were all guarding someone else. You would be correct. It is the duty of a knight to protect those who cannot protect themselves. If we fail at even that most basic function, then our honor means nothing. If the incident near Cap Dragonhead was not shameful enough, the knights in these most recent attacks were left in quite compromising positions. Yet the weight of the embarrassment is a trifle compared to the guilt we would bear if any innocent came to harm. The Fury was merciful in that respect, but we would rather not see these incidents repeat. Still, while the Temple Knights must work to repair their reputation in the days ahead, 'tis a far cry from bringing Ishgard crumbling to its knees. Truth be told, the methods of this passage of the Unbound leave me mystified. But Leofine was cunning, if nothing else. Till we can discern her true motivations, we have little recourse but to wait until she makes a mistake. Perhaps she gets her jolly seeing people humiliated, maybe testing the limit of the artifact's power. And you suggest she has greater purpose in mind for it, and these incidents are simply a prelude. We cannot discount that theory, I admit. We shall remain vigilant. No telling how much chaos she can sow if left unchecked. We have to do everything we can to get the cradle out of her clutches. To do that, we have to start asking the right questions. This new information makes me wonder, why has she focused her attention on the Temple Knights? I pondered the same. Post at Camp Dragonhead are knights from many houses of repute, including House Forton. Being a former Temple Knight herself, Leofine doubtless knows their habits and training. Perhaps that makes it easier for her to exploit their weaknesses. If we follow the knights, we may pick up her trail. It's not ideal, but it's the best we have to go on. A large contingent of knights has but recently been dispatched to Coerthas. You remember Gorgain Mills? Yes, it has lain abandoned ever since the heretics were driven from it. If there's ever the risk that unsavory elements might infest it once again. Thus have the Temple Knights planned joint patrols of its premises with other contingents. If you speak with Sir Redwald at Falcon's Nest, I am certain he would be glad to have you along. That Mistress Lazothe, I see. Of course, you are ever welcome in Falcon's Nest. I believe I do not know your companion here. Indeed, whispers of the Temple Knight's humiliations have reached us even here. Falling asleep while on duty, I dared not believe the stories, but it seems there was truth in them after all. They fell asleep, true, but it wasn't their fault. We suspect they fell victim to an enemy wielding a powerful artifact. Now, the rumors failed to mention anything like that. If it can lull even trained warriors to sleep, then we must treat it as a serious threat. Nevertheless, if one knight falls, another is always at the ready to take their place. So long as this artifact cannot put an entire regiment under its spell, I believe we are well positioned to combat it. Interesting, the idea of your allies falling in battle doesn't seem to disturb you at all. Where I hail from, a single warrior is responsible for the safety of his entire village. Make no mistake, we do not doubt our allies' mettle, and we mourn every loss, yet each man and woman here knows that if they must quit the battle, another sword just as fierce will take their place. To know that an ally is at your back, it would allow you to fight with abandon. Now, you believe this Leofine might take interest in our activities at Gorgain Mills. Yes, the party has already left, accompanied by a group of Temple Knights. Your suspicions are correct, and they are at risk. I would ask that you follow in their tracks and ensure they have not fallen victim to foul play. Mills can be found to the north, just across the Black Iron Bridge. The party should be arriving there soon, conditions permitting. We have to reach them before Leofine does. I think we're only going to do 94. We haven't done the level 96 MSQ yet. I don't know if it'll let us go any higher. But it let me take this 94 quest at level 93. Could just be a bug. We're too late. They're fast asleep. But Redwall gave the impression there were more. These knights must have been the lookouts. You should awaken them, but keep your eyes peeled for Leofine. I'll rouse these ones. You search the building yonder. Who the hells are you? How'd you get past the guards? It's you. Thank the Fury you arrived when you did. Those thugs struck when our backs were turned. I assumed the Temple Knights were protecting the entrance, so I wasn't as cautious as I should have been. Were they killed? Sleeping. I've heard the stories, but of course I didn't think they were true. Whomever is behind this, I'm sure they didn't count on you showing up. For now, we shall tend to our wounds and then finish our inspection here. Mistress Lazati, I ask that you join the knights outside and wait until we're finished. As I thought, just when I was becoming bored, I sighted a familiar face among these slumbering knights. I simply had to come and make sure it was you. You finally found the courage to show yourself. Hand over the cradle now and I won't kill you. What did they call you again? The Wide Eye? You must have had quite the journey to come this far. Be careful, Zilly. This is our quarry, the thief who stole the cradle of the sleepless. This is Leofine. That is your ally? Wear their nimble hands. They may seek your artifact for themselves. Matters not, I suppose. Before you both throw your lives away, I suggest you think for a moment. Is the cause you fight for worth the sacrifice? So few of us know the true freedom. If there is aught you would grasp with your own hands, do so before they wither and your eyes shut for the last time. Codes and rules that would bind men are mere illusions. Open your eyes, truly open them, and you shall see a path all your own. Only a fool would waste their life in a struggle of another. Quit spouting nonsense. Nonsense? Perhaps I am here because of another, after all, Apyahi, who came to me at the height of my debauchery and welcomed me into her devious brotherhood. She guided me to great power, yes, and now I lead others upon the unbound path. Yet truth be told, I have little interest in seeing where that ends. To tear down the world's nations, Ishgard among them, and usher the world into, well, what does it matter? Yet I do derive great pleasure in shaming the temple knights and seeing the snickers and jeers deflate their pompous stride as they walk down the streets. If this artifact can hasten their fall from grace, I believe I shall keep it. I know the path I walk, the one that leads to your downfall. And I won't abandon it. I'll take the cradle back. Then I'll... It's a narwhal. Oh dear, you seem to have lost your train of thought. I know you cannot hear me, but if you want your artifact back, I might suggest stealing it from me while I'm asleep. But considering the burden I have just passed to you, that opportunity may not come for some time yet. Probably gonna feel good to get some sleep after 10 years. Why, I feel absolutely transcendent. I think the shackles of fatigue weighed so heavily. Alas, it appears the artifact needs its own repose of sorts. No matter. I've learned more than enough to take my next step, though it needs charge time. See to it that this lot is disposed of. 'Tis the least you can do for the freedom I have given you. Wakey wakey. As you might arouse Tento, where he seems completely detached from the waking world. It looks like you've saved us twice today, thank you. But what of him? He hadn't slept in 10 years. Fast asleep, just as we were. Could this be what Sir Firmalbert warned us of in his report? I see that no stories are more than just wicked rumors. I suppose there is some small comfort in the fact that our enemy tipped their hand without causing loss of life. While the drowsiness made my eyes heavy, my ears could not mistake Leofine's arrogant voice. If she would not scruple to attack former comrades in arms, then she has fallen farther than I had dared imagine. Yet we bear the blame for allowing her to get the upper hand, and in so doing put innocent lives in danger, another black mark on our order. It was only thanks to you and your companion's efforts that the snow was not stained red this day. At the very least, allow us to carry him to the congregation. Our work here is done, so we shall accompany them as far as the Falcon's Nest. Pray return to Ishgard and look after your friend. I'm gonna have to change jobs to take it. Things I want the experience. It's not. Oh, glad I am to see you well, Mistress Lazathi. I understand you come fresh from an encounter with none other than Leofine. Master Tintoawa now rests on the second floor. We shall stand vigil by his side every moment until he reopens his eyes again. You should not have long to wait, but if you wish to check on him, please do so at your leisure. There's another matter to discuss. Just before your departure to Gorgane Mills, it seems there was another incident. A group of criminals were released from their cells, their guards found to be in a deep sleep. Doubtless Leofine was behind this. And doubtless the ruffians you clashed with were these self-same criminals. Leofine is gathering those who bear a grudge against the Temple Knights to her side, and using this animosity to her advantage. We now know for certain that Leofine is the mastermind of these attacks, and that her aim is to chip away at the very foundation of the Temple Knights, our honor. When I shared these revelations with my superiors, 'twas decided that none would speak publicly of the artifact and its powers. The passage of the Unbound seeks to overthrow the nations of the world. One obvious method to achieve this goal would be to stoke the flames of unrest among the common folk, thus sinking Ishgard into a mire of chaos and distrust, not unlike the blasphemies of the final days. As long as these failures are placed squarely on the shoulders of the Temple Knights, we can avoid fomenting a more abiding mistrust in the nation's very core. For Ishgard's peace, I would gladly suffer any disgrace. The question remains as to whether we can apprehend Leofine before she tears our reputation to tatters. While Master Tintoawa slumbers, it falls to us to search for clues that might point towards her whereabouts. Level 94, Between Sleep and Death, complete. Level 96, Beacon in the Darkness. Firmalbert's eyes light up when he sees you. Leofine remains as elusive as ever. If she is in league with Ishgard's more unsavory elements, she could be hidden anywhere. We have only her cryptic statements to guide us. It seems that whatever her plan is, her actions thus far have been put to but a prelude to its climax. We can but hope that Tintoawa awakens before she emerges again. There you are. So glad I found you. I was starting to think I was in the wrong city, but the narwhal guided me true. Oh, you must be the maiden Tintoawa mentioned. You hail from the same village, yes? I'm Firmalbert of the Temple Knights. 'Tis an honor to meet you. Oh, Tintoawa wrote about you in his letters. I'm Lozen Nikwe, and the honor is all mine. I don't remember how to pronounce any of these. Not that I had it right before. Tintoawa with you? I haven't received a letter from him for some time, so I came here to check on him myself. You insufferable fool, what have I always told you about rushing ahead without thinking? Now you even have the gall to be sleeping when I arrive. Promise you'd write to me. What was I supposed to do when the letters stopped coming? I was so worried. At least I can take some small comfort in that he appears otherwise unharmed. I take it you are to thank for that? Is there any way to counteract the cradle's influence? He told me you were the shut-eye. If there's any way to counteract. Can one stay awake forever by sheer force of will? The answer is the same. Although we can deny ourselves food and drink, sleep is another matter. It always finds us in time. And to rouse oneself from a slumber this deep is an impossible task, even for someone like Tintoawa. Do you know why Tintoawa sleeps so soundly? The reports of other incidents indicated that those affected awoke in a matter of moments. Tintoawa shows no signs of stirring. Oh, that, I'm sorry, I can't say for certain. I do know the stories of those who came before me. More than one shut-eye has fallen into a sleep much like this, one so absolute that they become deaf to the outside world. With no means to sustain their bodies, they would waste away if left alone, so our people found a mixture of herbs and other materials that help usher the shut-eye back to the waking world. Who could possibly be strong enough to bring someone back from this? We call it spring dew, and the secrets of its making are passed down through generations. Each drop acts as a ray of sunshine in the darkness of sleep, a beacon for the dreamer to follow. I carry some of the ingredients on my person, but others must be gathered fresh. It won't be an easy task, but I'm certain it will save Tintoawa. I don't know their Eorzean name, but one of the flowers blooms a striking yellow and grows only where mountain peaks soar above the clouds. Being so close to the heavens, it drinks in the sunlight, and its petals cleanse the body and promote wakefulness. The turning mist blooms a yellow flower called the dandelion, and in no other place in Eorzea can one be closer to touching the sun. Good, next we'll need the saliva of a beast we call moorboles, and the thicker it is, the better. The pungent odor could wake the dead. I know them well. Moorboles are not an uncommon sight in Dravanian hinterlands. A mature specimen should possess saliva with the desired effect. The prospect of gathering it, however, is an unenviable task. Once we have those two ingredients, mixing them with the rest should be a simple matter. Do you think you could procure them? Oh, your confidence is reassuring. Since the morbol saliva must be the fresher of the two, I ask that you first climb in the heavens and pick dandelions for Tintoawa. Okay. We're coming to save you. Sun-drenched dandelions shine an almost golden yellow. Now for a much more gruesome task, venture to the Dravanian hinterland and collect saliva from the mouth of a full-grown moorball. Down by the library. Or the Arboretum or whatever it's called. Fight the poop monster. Mujian. That was fun. Not in the right place. I'd hate to come all this way and not be here. That was just upstairs. Ready to start mixing the ingredients at once. That is, of course, assuming you brought them with you. These are difficult to acquire at the best of times, so I thank you for gathering them so quickly. I shall get started immediately. Wakey wakey. We've done all we can. Now we wait for Tintoawa to open his eyes. Huh? Where am I? Hope you enjoyed sleeping the days away, Tintoawa. Guy hasn't slept in years, right? And I'm glad you're finally awake. Ozanique, what are you doing here? I see, so Leofine wielded the cradle against me, and while I was tucked soundly in bed, Lozanique came all this way. Curse my weakness, just when we had her, just when I was needed the most, I failed. For 10 years I endured countless trials, and when the time came, I couldn't even swing my damn weapon. Not your fault, Tintoawa. If anyone's to blame for what's happened, it's me. No, I won't hear it. As you may know, Leofine won our trust by posing as a scholar traveling the width and breadth of Tyrol. She expressed great interest in the cradle and our customs, and I was so excited to meet an outsider that I answered her every question. I told her that the Wide Eye keeps the cradle with him at all times, and then she hatched her plan. She took me hostage to draw out Tintoawa. While Lozanique was sleeping, Leofine snuck in her chamber and held a blade to her throat. I had no choice but to give her what she wanted, Cradle of the Sleepless. Put Lozanique's life before the future of our people. It was at that moment I became unfit to be their guardian. Once we get the cradle back, all will be forgiven. Lozanique is one of your people. Protecting her was your duty. Thank you. You know just what to say. That was the only way to see a future where none of my people come to harm, especially Lozanique. Even without the cradle, you're still our guardian, my guardian. We'll find a way through this together. Seeing you in such high spirits lifts my own. Oh, and before I forget, you trounced Leofine's thugs while I was dreaming in the snow, didn't you? I owe you a debt I won't soon forget. I wager that debt will grow larger before we pry the treasure from Leofine's clutches, but whatever it takes, I won't stop until she's answered for her crimes. You know, while I was sleeping, I dreamed. Saw Lozanique and I as children. Nothing particularly interesting happened. We just Whiled the days away without a care in the world. I'd forgotten what it was like to dream. It was pleasant. I can remember wanting to stay there, to never open my eyes again, but of course, the moment I gave form to that thought, I opened them and Lozenhikwe was there. Even if we get the cradle back, will things return to the way they were? Will you go back to spending your life in dreams? I suppose so. It's my duty as the shut-eye, after all. Your duty, and it was your duty, too, that compelled you to come all the way here to Ishgard? But no more. What are you saying? I tried so hard to convince myself that you were glad spending so much time asleep, but being on the other side made me realize I was lying to myself all along. I don't want to return to a life where you and I are bound together, but always so far apart. I want to go back to those happy days when we were by each other's sides. Guess what I'm saying is, if there's a different path for us, I want to find it. I want to walk it with you. But not yet. First, we reclaim the cradle, and when we have, we'll take our first steps towards that new future, I promise. I must confess, I haven't felt the same since I woke up. I know I was in that bed for a while, but instead of feeling refreshed, my body feels weaker somehow. It's almost as if my very strength was sapped when the treasure was turned on me. I can't even grip my weapon properly. Perhaps the cradle has been sapping the ether of its target all along. Leofine did remark that she felt invigorated. Maybe she took your vitality for herself. Transfer. Does that mean the cradle has powers we don't know about? Yeah, exactly. It may just mean the cradle works differently than we thought. Its wielder might not pass on their fatigue, rather they absorb another's vigor. End effect would be the same. The cradle's wielder can go on without sleep, and its victim loses the strength to even keep their eyes open. Never took more than you needed, so my slumber was always light enough to waken from, but if the treasure was used without restraint, we had this realization, it won't be long until Leofine does too, and then it will be too late. We have to root her out. I mustn't rush ahead blindly, as Lizanique would ever tires of telling me. I feel nearly weak as a child right now. I must spend what precious time we have training to regain what strength Leofine stole from me. Get my word, I won't rest until I'm in top form again. I suggest you do the same, for no other reason than to give me some stiff competition. Level 96, Beacon in the Darkness, complete. Level 98, Awakened, not stirred. Tintoawa appears healthier, but there is still a hint of weariness in his expression. You're looking strong. While I'm not my old self yet, I'm feeling better by the day. Though there's much to work to be done, I need to be even better than I was before if we're to have any hope of catching Leofine. I wonder what she's plotting with the rest of her cohorts. We know they aim to topple nations around the world, but this is an odd way to go about it, don't you think? Why haven't her misdeeds in Ishgard extended any further than the Temple Knights? We pondered that same question. Our best guess was that a former Temple Knight herself, she chose them because she knows how to exploit their weaknesses. Using her knowledge as her weapon, and we need to equip ourselves likewise. We can learn more about her. We might be able to anticipate her next move. Good plan, but I admit I have no idea where to start. Should we ask Firmalbert? I already have. He said that while he never knew her personally, the knights in her old squadron might be able to shed some light onto her past. Let them even now patrol the city, and Firmalbert was great help in telling me where they might be. You've been busy, Lozenhikwe. Well, I can't remember the last time I was awake this long. I didn't want to sit around until I got tired again. We're all the better for it, since you've gathered the information. It's only fitting I should do the legwork. Just tell me where these knights are, and I'll speak with them. Sadly, but Ishgard is still an unfamiliar city for both of us, right? Although Firmalbert told me where to go, the names of these places mean nothing to me. Luckily, we have Zilly to guide you. You'll go with Tintoawa, won't you? Lead him around. I knew we could count on you. All right, take note of these locations. Being forced to work with someone like Leofine isn't a fate I would envy. I'm curious to hear what these knights have to say about her. Hopefully they provide insight that will help guide us forward. Time is of the essence. Let's get moving. Tantoa is now accompanying you. Keep him at your side in order to proceed with quest objectives. You can leave Tantoa behind by entering a different area by speaking with him and selecting the option to part ways. If you wish to have Tantoa join you again, return and speak with him at the original location. There's again. There it is, Temple Knight. Now, this is a rare privilege. What business could the savior of Ishgard have with a humble knight? You want to know about Leofine? Well, many Temple Knights come from common stock, but she was different. Despite what she became, Leofine was born of noble blood. Even so, she often made mock of Ishgard's customs and the responsibilities that bound the conduct of noble families. Doubtless she yearned for freedom all her life, or her idea of it anyways. Though her deeds caused her to be expelled from the Temple Knights and summarily stripped of her title, she may have actually desired that outcome. If she hated it so much here, all she had to do was leave. Here she did leave for a time, at least. Now she's in league with a group that aims to plunge the world into chaos. If a selfish heart like Leofine was sought out to aid in this plot, shudder to imagine how wicked their leader must be. You require aid. I must keep watch, so forgive me if I don't engage in idle chit-chat. Leofine, for her, I can spare a moment. I don't suppose you know why she was expelled from the Temple Knights, do you? While few were her equal in swordplay and fewer still handled their mounts with such grace, she often spent her nights carousing in the gambling halls. It was after just such a night that she fell asleep while on duty. Some may call it a cruel twist of fate, but dragons attacked her charges as she slept and they were left defenseless. In her negligence, she was deemed to have aided our ancestral foe and was stripped of her knighthood and noble title both. Knights falling asleep on duty, a story that's become all too familiar. Given what happened, I've no doubt she came to fear sleep, yet now she has conquered that weakness and she wields it as a weapon against us. She may even believe herself to be beyond the reach of mortal danger, yet she's only deluding herself, and in time she'll be made to answer for her deeds. Just a statue. I've heard the people of Ishgard revere a warrior god, but here's a statue of flesh and blood knight. I've never seen such a thing. My people make no figures or depictions of our departed, fearing that such objects would keep them from finding their way to the next world. The only idol we keep is the cradle of the sleepless. Thanks to its blessings, a wide eye has always watched over us. Though our reverence is devoted solely to the narwhal, it's enough that it guides our people safely to the next sunrise. All is quiet. Even so, I must remain vigilant. Leofine, a name spoken of in hushed whispers now, but many have forgotten her strategic genius. She had a singular talent for achieving victory in battle by whatever means necessary. Genius, maybe we're just too dense to see how her actions would cause Ishgard to collapse. Given that her group seems relatively few in number, an assault on Ishgard is unlikely. Rather, I think her aim is to chip away at the people's trust in Ishgard's foundation, and by the absence of a few vital bricks, bring the whole nation tumbling down. Thought gives me worry. Even now, representatives from Ishgard are preparing to visit Oxundu in the Sea of Clouds. If anything were to go wrong, it would be a grievous blow to Ishgard's reputation. As we saw at Falcon's Nest, certain elements that oppose our nation see friendly gestures as a chance to spark conflict. Given recent developments, Sir Handaloop has been debating whether the visit is a wise choice. Well, we have a general understanding of what drives our adversary, stories that paint a picture of rotten, conniving soul. We know enough to guess her next move. It must have been hard on the Lord Commander. Lord Commander, I take it that's the leader of these Temple Knights? While fancy titles hold little interest for me, I sympathize with anyone who had to give orders to a rotten apple like Leofine. Giving the Temple Knights a warning is the least we can do. It's clear that this delegation, was it, might prove an enticing target for Leofine. Finally, we have knowledge to use against our enemy. If we all work together, we might be able to trap her. We haven't much time. Let's return to the congregation and tell this Handaloop what we know. Bert. You are ever welcome at the congregation. I am well apprised of Leofine's wicked deeds, and your efforts to flush her out have been much appreciated. This must be Master Tandawa, who crossed the ocean from Tyrol. I hope you have recovered from your ordeal. I'm better than ever. Apologies for taking up one of your beds for so long. Please, no apologies are necessary. On the contrary, the Temple Knights yet owe you a debt for all you have done. Brings us to the purpose of this visit. You had something to discuss with me? I see, you and I had the same doubts. The delegation Ogzundu would be an obvious target for Leofine. I was but recently debating the wisdom of moving forward with our plans. You know, all of Ishgard falls under the protection of the Temple Knights. As such, 'tis only meet that we maintain and strengthen friendly relations with our neighbors. The delegation in question is tasked with deepening mutual understanding of each of our unique cultures. Sonu Vunu, Vanu, chief of the Zundu, was eager to host. Yet so long as the specter of the Leofine hangs over our order, I fear visits abroad are unwise. Should any of the Vanu come to harm, our relations could be damaged irreparably. We have no way of knowing if Leofine has caught wind of our plans. I am of the mind that postponing the delegation may be our most prudent course of action, for the safety of all. This could also be the perfect chance to draw her out. Zundu will be safe under our watch. That's right, Zillia and I won't let anyone come to harm. As long as you warn the Vanu in advance, they shouldn't hold the actions of a rogue against you. If truly your allies, they'll see the wisdom in your judgment. Please, send this delegation as planned. It'll be our best chance to capture Leofine. Yes, your words have merit. Thank you for the sage counsel. You are right. The Zundu would not stand idly by while we suffer at Leofine's hand. In fact, the fellowship between our two peoples was forged when a goddess sailed their home and was brought low by a great hero. We tell the Zundu that she is keeping watch over the proceedings, and I am certain all doubt shall be quelled. Then you'll proceed? Indeed, the time has come for we Temple Knights to reclaim our honor and go on the counteroffensive. I shall bring the suggestion of joint operation against Leofine to the Lord Commander as soon as possible. Thank you. Together we'll put a stop to her scheme. I first must discuss matters with the others involved before we present a plan to the Lord Commander. Although time is of the essence, I ask that you wait a while until our course is settled. Where the hell did he go? All right. Realize now that I agreed to defend a people I know next to nothing about. Tell me if these Zundu will soon be visiting. They look like large fluffy birds. They're like the Hanu with even more of a penchant for metaphor. Really, two groups of such people so far apart, the world really is full of surprises. Even a single city is enough for a lifetime. Every day I hear something that gives me food for thought. story of the Dragon Song War, for instance. Generations of animosity between dragon and man that somehow ended in a rekindled fellowship. Imagine a whole world like that, a world where there'd be no need for protectors. Wide Eye watches not only the monsters in the wilderness, but our neighbors as well. We barely even considered sending delegations outside our village's gates. And the cold snap only made things worse, with everyone struggling just to survive. Our every thought goes towards defending our scarce resources. But if we only look outward with wariness, there's no hope for the future to change, no hope to build trust. If only there was a way to bridge the distance between us and greet tomorrow hand in hand. Or maybe that's just a silly dream. Maybe, either way, it's a beautiful thought. Glad you think so. I'll hold that future in mind as I get back to training. As for you, get some rest. If you fall asleep when I need you most, I'll wake you up with a knock to the head. Level 98, awaken, not stirred. Complete. Level 100, dreams of a new day. Tintoawa is eager to set a trap for Leofine. The Hondalup still hasn't sent word. I guess the others might not be so enthusiastic about our plan. To them, the cradle of the sleepless is naturally still something to be feared. No matter how much faith they have in your strength, you'd be at Leofine's mercy if she put you to sleep. Honestly, I don't blame them. Not even I imagined our treasure could be used for such evil. In Leofine's hands, it's no more than an indiscriminate weapon. But that means when we get it back, we can turn it into something else. Something no one's ever thought of before. We can find a way to use it without forcing someone to spend their life in slumber. Of course, I agree with you, Tintoawa, but we have more pressing matters, namely a rogue knight to capture and a treasure to recover. Right. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. Apologies for keeping you waiting for so long. The Temple Knights have finally reached a decision concerning the delegation to the Sea of Clouds. And what have you decided? I am pleased to say that the Zundu have agreed to join forces with us. Together we shall drive back Leofine should she attack. If her shadow darkens even an elm of their homeland, our peaceful delegation shall turn into a fighting force at a moment's notice. We shall restore the Temple Knight's reputation and recover your artifact in one fell swoop. Thank you, Hondalup. We promise to do our part if Leofine shows herself. She won't get away this time. We have but to hammer out the finer details. Once we are ready to depart, the first group of knights shall leave by airship. I would ask that you both make your way to Oxundu as soon as possible, as you may help or plan our strategy. I'm coming too. I can heal your wounds, and if it comes to it, my staff can bruise as well as club. I'll gladly have you with us. I'm done taking on the world alone. I need you, Lozanique, and Jilly too. We're stronger together than we could ever be apart. Cradle never would have been stolen if I'd realized that from the beginning. And I want you by my side to ensure I don't forget it. Oh, then we better be off. I'm keen to meet this Chief Sonuvanu. Oxundu. Hey, Chief. Honored Netherling, you return to Oxundu is as welcome as the arrival of spring. Sonu knows why you come. Wicked arts seek to bring chaos to our home. So the Zundu shall rise to its defense if needed. As the sun's rays chase away the shadows of night, the Sundrop dance shall keep the tendrils of sleep at bay. Chief Sonuvanu, it's an honor to meet you. I'm Tintoawa, and if this Sundrop dance is as invigorating as you say, I'd love to see it for myself. Zundu shall dance before Ishgard's warriors upon their arrival. Brave Tintoawa is welcome to join the proceedings. That was your original intent, right? I see. If we're to draw Leofine out, it makes sense to pretend like nothing is amiss. Zundu warriors unify their strength through the sun drop dance, and the sight is so fearsome that many choose to flee rather than fight. Netherling warriors may learn much from such an approach. Breaking the enemy's spirit avoids needless bloodshed. Yet all dancers must hone their skills before wild animals first, that the sun drop dance does not fail them at the most crucial moment. It is for that reason our dancers await at the outskirts of Oxundu for the Netherlings' arrival. When the performance begins, it shall draw the attention of all, like a roiling cloud coming over the horizon. Watch carefully for any who would take advantage of that moment. After the dance is finished, Netherlings will present the Zundu with Chief Sonu. Netherling ship appears in the skies like sudden sun shower hurtling toward Earth. Swiftly it descends, crashing down near Zundu dancers. Ship's markings are Ishgardian. Zundu are unhurt, but wounded Netherlings pour from the vessel. Temple Knights would never harm the Zundu intentionally. Like a lightning bolt in the night, Leofine strikes. Temple Knights were coming by airship, right? All Leofine had to do was lull the pilot to sleep. He saw right through us, and now we're on the back foot. Great winds can alter even a raging river's course. What matters is to stand strong and move forward, and now we must offer aid to the Netherlings who come as guests. Right, let's go. This is the work of the cradle. Leofine can't be far. Must tend to the wounded, but I won't let her escape again. This ends today, one way or the other. Duty calls. Commence battle for Dreams of a New Day. Level sync is in effect. If you are above the maximum allowed level, will be synced as follows. Level 100, item level 680, proceed. There you are, Leofine. Came all this way just to greet me. Oh, I am honored. I only hope my gift was satisfactory. It's a shame you will not see Ishgard crumble. Alas, I can scarcely suffer rats to scurry about my feet, threatening to gnaw away at my carefully laid plans. At least you bear witness to the dying breath of the Temple Knights' flagging honor. We would sooner see that wrecked airship soar again than their reputation return to its former glory. Yet even I did not foresee that the Zundu would be in the ship's path. The fury favors me, for who now would trust a nation so careless as to put their neighbors at risk? Everyone knows you're behind this. People won't turn on each other so easily. Oh, I didn't see you there. The shut-eye, wide awake. Doubly honored I am that you came all this way just to meet your end. Enough. We're taking the cradle back. We won't let your evil continue any longer. Such bold words. If I recall correctly, your people reaped great benefits from this artifact's powers, all at the cost of someone's waking life, your life. Pray do not misunderstand me. That was not meant to be a denouncement of your people. On the contrary, they have my utmost respect. We are bound by our very nature. No matter how mighty we become, we are slaves to the whims of sleep. Yet this artifact can sunder those shackles and grant true freedom. It makes its wielder stronger and their enemies weak. A perfect weapon, if you ask me. Can't say whether using the cradle is right or wrong. I only know that a life lived at a cost of another is no life at all. You're right about one thing. We are bound by our nature, but that doesn't shackle us. It brings us together. Whether I'm asleep or awake, as long as Lozanique is by my side, that's the life I want. We'll take the cradle back. Together! Show her no quarter. I'll be your shield. He's exhausted the cradle's power on the Temple Knights. This is our chance. No plan is without its wrinkles, I suppose. Fortunately, I prepare for all contingencies. Unbound, Leofine the Unchivalrous. You had the opportunity to live a quiet life, but I will not give it again. This time I shall send you into the slumber from which you will never wake. It's the tank quest. I should probably draw aggro, huh? Enmity. Heck, was it? We'll take it back. Not let me do anything. Protect the Netherling Ward. Witness a sun drop dance, Netherling warriors. Everyone's up. Awake. Do this. Tank Buster. Cutscene. Artifact swells with power. It begs to be released. Now you shut your eyes for the final time. Take a last glimpse of the waking world. Brace yourself against the power of the artifact. Down. He's down. He's asleep. I think this piece of wood is for protection. Such a cloying sentiment. Those three. I assume I'm doing the right thing by standing in the way of this. Your feet to the it's your duty as a wide eye. There he is. But I was asleep. Owe you all my life. Thank you. I got you. Yundu, go to help allies. May Zephyr winds guide you to victory. No, sleep is inexorable. How are they doing this? Far from finished. You will not withstand this. Oh, please. Oh, wrong button. Want to interrupt that. Duty complete. That was fun. You stubborn. You may have won today, but this is not over. Yes, it is. Ow. Damned fool. Now, I'm the warrior of light. I just break it. No. Say goodnight, Leofine. Oh, damn, she fell. That's a capture. What I watch is eternal, and eternal is the sleep it bestows. We finally stopped her. Yes, but we have someone else to worry about. Wake up, are you alright? Huh. Only she would smile at a time like this. Sun drop dance me. Yep. She's awake. Your work is done. You did a commendable job as our shield, and now you can lay down your burden. It was thanks to your bravery that I was able to deal the final blow to Leofine, and with that cradle back in our possession, I think we consider this expedition across the seas to be a success. Zundu helped us gather the wounded and see them safely off to Ishgard. We couldn't have done it without you. Netherlings protect allies as fiercely as Gallicat protecting kittens. Zundu are moved by your might. You were equally as impressive. I should learn the Sundrop dance myself, though I won't strike a figure half as fierce as yours. Zundu seem to have everything well in hand, and Handaloop is likely eager to see us. We should return to Ishgard as soon as we can. Ah, the heroes of the day have returned. Thanks to your valor, the threat Leofine posed is no more. What's more, not a single life was lost. On behalf of the Temple Knights, allow me to express my utmost gratitude to you all. You don't owe me any thanks. After all, it was my fault that the cradle was stolen in the first place, and ultimately my fault that your delegation to Oxundu turned into a melee. It may be true that our visit to the Sea of Clouds was far from peaceful, but the bond between Zundu and Temple Knights has only deepened, through overcoming mutual adversity. Blessings often take inscrutable forms. While we know not whether Leophine yet lives, we do know that she can no longer reach the source of her ill-gotten power, so we have little more to fear from her. The crisis behind us, the common folk no longer have aught to fear. We make known the story of Leophine's schemes and the heroes who work to foil them, and in time I hope that trust in our order will be restored. Temple Knight shall continue to build relations with our neighbors for years to come, relations which shall form the foundation for Ishgard's future. We would be honored if we could count you among our allies in this endeavor. Anything you need, simply call upon us. We'll be there, no questions asked. With that, it's time that we returned home. It's been an honor. We'll be passing through Tuliolol on our way back. Zilly, if you have business in those parts, we'd love to speak with you at Balyav before setting off. See you soon, hopefully. There you are. I was afraid we wouldn't see you before we left. You arrived not long ago and apprised Brukovu of everything that happened. This is the longest I've spent away from our village, but even though Tuliolol and Ishgard were like entirely different worlds to me, I was only ever treated with kindness. Is anything the matter, Tandawa? Nothing, it's just something I've been thinking about. Our people have always been self-sufficient, but the Ishgardians and the Zundu showed that looking to your neighbor can reveal a way through the harshest difficulties. And you heard, Hondaloop, the bond between Ishgard and Akzundu was only made deeper through their shared ordeal. To trust another to such a degree, well, I think it's a goal we should all strive toward. We have at least one friend like that, don't we? She who bent her ears to every note of the Norwal's lullaby without a shade of fear in her eyes. Thank you. For believing in us, for believing that no matter the outcome, your actions would not be in vain. So doing, you taught me the worth of fighting alongside allies you can trust. Even if your shield breaks, that is not the end. I only protected you as you protected me. You're right, it's our faith in our allies and their faith in us that gives us the courage to protect each other. But approaching someone with open arms doesn't mean they'll accept you. The relations between our people and our neighbors have been strained by generations of mistrust, and we must take care to mend them properly. If we can do that and learn to look towards the future hand in hand, then there will be no need to use the cradle ever again. People can sleep and dream untroubled and awaken with bright eyes. I want to see those days come to pass. Me too. Then you and I can finally spend more time together. Right, of course. If we're going to see this future, then we should get back to our village. They'll be overjoyed to see the cradle return. Thank you for everything. Next time we meet, may we both have good news to share. Level 100, Dreams of a New Day. Complete. Quest complete. Even unlocked. No sleep till Tuliolol.